Welcome to Ditto version 3.2.1 overview. Now, first we're going to cover installing the extension. So go ahead and go over to Edit, Preferences, select the Get Extensions tab. Select this Extension Settings drop-down arrow and select Install from Disk and locate wherever Ditto is, and it should appear here once it's installed. The latest version is Ditto version 3.2.1 hotfix 3. If it's not working, go ahead and go to add-ons and make sure Ditto is checked right here. Alright, after you have that, go ahead and if this is closed, you can either click here or press the N key on the keyboard and it will open and close this section. Make sure you have the Ditto version 3.2.1 panel selected, and we're going to cover what the main objective of each panel is. We have 4 main panels, that is the Ditto version 3.2.1, Objects, Viewer, and Links. Now, the Ditto version 3.2.1 panel. We have the Layer Selection menu, the D tools, or you can call it Ditto tools, selections, where it's like the main custom modification tools for Ditto. And then you have the Ditto objects, which is just a wireframe object that you can quickly add to see your Ditto work. Now, objects. Quickly covering, this is just the main objects, curves, and metaballs, just in case if you want to use them. Now, link to collection is so you can blend in between objects and between layers. Convert to mesh will convert it and keep the original so you can still adjust it later. Unlock all will unlock the Ditto object because when you add a layer, it will add an object and it will have all transforms locked. So when you're done, you can just hit unlock on your new one, and then it's free to be able to, you can move it around, and lock all if you just want to lock it all again. And the viewport layer or viewport display, let me just show you, will be all these settings that can be found here inside Ditto. So everything in the viewport display here will be accessible here when you have an object selected. So if you want to change it to wireframe, you can just hit wire here. If you have 2 objects and you select them both and you want to change both objects, make sure you hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and then you click. So you can change them both to wire if you hold down the Alt key and have them both selected and click. Go ahead and delete those. The viewer. Here we have another setting, which is the viewport display resolution. So if you have an object here, you click 8, you can see it's kind of pixelated. It's to help render everything faster. So if you're having problems with speed and resolution, this may help increase the speed. Also, you may see this, but this is where when you're rendering in this viewport shading. So in the regular one, it won't show it. So if you're wondering why it's not showing, there you go. Right now, advanced setting is only for a Ditto layer object. And links. Links for this one covers documentation, YouTube playlist, Discord link, and a donate, which should have been a heart, but I'll fix that in the next update. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and go over a quick start for, like, if you open it up and you want to get started blending and you don't know what to do, I'll help you get started. So, first thing you want to do is add a layer system. You can add a Ditto clay layer, which is basically like the layer system, but it's only 2 collections and 1 layer at a time. This is the most stable, so, but it's also the most destructive, and it's the fastest. It really depends on what you're trying to do. This is the more empty Ditto layer section. So once you know what to do, how you want to set things up, this is where you want to go to get like a more blank start, a more default start. This is set up to be more of a join style. So this is like blending different objects together, and you're not really worried about cutting or adding objects via a Boolean system. But the Boolean system for the bool style, this is set up to be more focused for Boolean systems. So when you want to add, cut stuff together, and then only blending on the last layer, and that's to increase speed and improve performance, and even increase the Boolean operation. Now, not everything is going to bool properly unless you, like, sometimes when you realize the mesh. So let me add Ditto clay layer. And we're going to just do something simple. We're going to add a cube, and let's go ahead and add a Ditto cube. So it's starting out clear and wireframe from the start. We're going to just select bool, add another Ditto cube, and it's now blending both together. Select here, move it apart, and now we got our first blending. So the difference between Ditto clay and a regular layer would be that Ditto clay only has one layer, while everything in the Ditto layers, the first layer blends with itself, and then the second layer blends from the second one to the first one, so it can operate with Booleans. So whenever you have this selected, which you can just select in the middle of the mesh, if you select an object, if it's a D tool, it will show it with its own settings in the viewer. And if it's not, and it's the Ditto clay object, then it will show up with its own settings in the viewer. So let me go ahead and go over these. Viewport, or this is the display in the viewport. So if you click this, it will change this over here, and it should speed it up significantly. And if you want to just speed things up, you can go ahead and click that, because everything starts slowing down the more layers you have and the higher resolution it is. So be aware of the resolution you're using. Let's go ahead and cover these. These are presets. I won't get too much into presets, but these are designed to work with joining or Boolean settings. Boolean last is for, like, these are for like Boolean before, like a typical setting before you want to Boolean the last thing, and this is for the last in the line of all the Booleans to like be the blend. So remesh is in case you want to remesh if you have inner geometry. There's different ways to remove inner geometry, but I got some settings in here to help with that too. So let's go over this. This is where you select your layer. It does not select anything within Blender to show over here in Addon. If you want to access the modifiers in Blender, go ahead and go over here. Make sure you have the toolbar selected, and then you can adjust the full settings from here in Blender. However, when you select a Ditto layer or anything that has like a custom workaround within the add-on, then it will appear here. So D tools will appear here, and Ditto layer objects will appear here. So just do a quick overview. Let's say you wanted to change the color. You would change it here, and there's different settings. Now I'll let you play around with those. We'll go in more detail when we cover all these sections. But this is color 1, this is color 2. Just to go over it. And let's go ahead and say, I want to make it more blendy, or let's say you want it to be more original towards its shape, but still retain like a voxelization. So you'll want to either increase resolution and that could slow things down. But the cool thing is, if you go in edit mode and grab this, normally you would have problems. So my custom blending uses GeoSwap. If you lower the resolution, you can see you get zigzag edges. GeoSwap is designed to help avoid zigzag edges. So you should notice that improvement. And sometimes you have to add a little bit of blending. In order to have the blending work in SDF mode, you have to be using one of the booleans. So when you blend this up, you start getting a nice blend, and as it blends more, you can see the shape gets better too. So the shape will get better, and also if you want the shape to get better with the lower blend, you can trade it for resolution. So blend through SDF mode is kind of slow. So it may not be as fast and laggy. And so I would recommend going to mesh mode, because mesh mode is a lot faster and less laggy, and you can use less resolution. You just have to increase EX blend right here, and now you got a really fast way to blend that's very similar to SDF. And this is the smooth. So you can smooth things down and make it more rounded, or you can make it really hard and jagged, but you may get some issues here. And turn off GeoSwap, and this is what it originally looks like. Like if you were using the original settings in Blender, it would look very blocky. Using GeoSwap, you retain more of the original shape. Using a slight blend, you get nice in between blending and beveled edges. So it all comes down to what settings you use. This blends based on edges, this blends based on the points, and sometimes you can get really nice results with the point system. So this is where you adjust the resolution. And let me show you this. This is resolution control. So this can help you save on resolution processing. So if you turn this off, it turns off the resolution. But if it's still slow, you might want to turn this off, the viewport. And this is the resolution slider. So if you want to reduce the resolution, just slide this to the right. You want to increase the resolution, just slide it back to 1. Do not go below 1, it will increase very high in resolution. So unless you're ready for that, it's better to increase the resolution here. But when you want to maintain the resolution but slow it down for a bit, this will adjust the resolution in real time. So make sure you turn this back to 1 or just click off. You can click it on and off here, and that will help keep your resolution low as you adjust. Another way to save on like speed is to use hard bool, which will show you the original object. But if you're going to just do this, you can save blending for later, because it runs even faster when you're not using this option at some points. So like when using curves, you want to just make what you're going to make and then start blending it after. However, it depends on what you're using, the intensity of the objects. But this is hard Ditto blend. So just turn this off and you'll get the blending and the hard shape. So if you want like a mix of both worlds, and you want to say you have the perfect object and you're like, oh, it's ruining the shape of the perfect object. Well, now you have both the blending and the original object. You can just combine together and like boolean it, and Might have to do a double step in booleaning it, but you get the combined objects, and there's ways to go around it. I'll cover anything that needs to be covered in the future, but this is your main blending operations. This is for convex, which is like an in-between between all blending and minimal blending. And this is bounding box, which is blending basically the entirety. I like this one better. This one just scales the objects and it reforms the shapes. So like, you just increase this, you get your shapes back even at a lower resolution. And you can just increase this a little bit. And if you look at the geometry, it's really low, and you're getting back a lot of your original shape. So let's see what else. For Boolean, this is different. So this will cut in between, and you can always increase the resolution or use hard bool to get like the perfect cut. But lower this and you can get nice cuts here. You can blend it, get those edges, and intersect will take the intersection of both elements. So that's just a quick look on the Boolean. Join is when it just joins the objects together. And union is when it's using the Boolean operation to union. So you can get different results based on float and exact. Float is the cheaper one, exact is the faster one. So just to quickly go over this. This is SDF mode, this is mesh mode, this is pre-collection where it uses the collection, and this is pre-geo where it uses the previous geometry in the layer system. So this will use any layer above it for its pre-geo, but it doesn't have that for the Ditto thing. Now, this is just a different style of reading the resolution. This uses a more reading the entirety of the max and min of the resolution to adjust for its location. But with the mesh mode, everything runs pretty smoothly, so you don't have to worry about that pretty much. This selects different settings based on like the smoothing operation. This removes inner geometry. Usually one is a good setting for it. Like if we look, right now there's no inner geometry. Usually you'll get that with SDF mode. There might be some inner geometry. And remesh, when you want to remesh it, turn on GeoSwap again, and that could also get rid of inner geometry. Let's see, color. This uses the pre-color. This switch between a single color, dual color. This inverts the color to the other color. And mid changes, like this will blend in between. And sometimes if it's not showing up, you just have to readjust this adjust. It's not showing up here. Let's see what we have on Boolean. Yeah, we have it on Union. I wonder why. But normally you adjust here for the adjust. So that has it as an object. And normally when it blends, it will just blend in between the middle. So let's see here. This is a different blend style, so it becomes more and more like blend it all together. This is the blend amount, so the more you add or the less you add will add in between the blend. The adjust will adjust where it's blending, and this controls the color blur. So if you want more blur in between the middle, you adjust it here. And all of this will be more automatic in a future update. Advanced settings, just to briefly go over this, these are all the typical settings that you normally wouldn't use as much, or things that normally shouldn't mess with. And that's here. They're going to be moved into each section here and have their own event setting. And that should help you out for like getting started on the quick blending methods. I made the presets up here so you can get started in case you don't know what to do based on what you want to do. If you want to just combine objects together and have a nice blending at the end of every object, I created a bowl style. You want to just join different objects in between each other and create a join style. So this should cover two of the most commonly used for the Ditto method, and I'll be covering more in the future and going to go over different ways you would use Ditto to make like things for our hobbies, or if you want to make professional characters. I'm aiming to design anime style characters, so you're going to probably see that. I know not everybody likes anime, but the same concepts can be applied to everything. So whenever I am able to show you the best method, I'm still testing some things out, then I'll upload a video showing you an example and process on how to go about it. But that should help you with the general overview. If you have questions, there's help in the documentation. You can always message me. You can comment below, and I'll respond to the comment with the best way I know how. If it's an issue that you need help with, I will probably cover it in a future video or help you below. And, well, just let me know if you have any issues or problems, and I'll do my best to fix it. Hope you like the presets. I made them to quickly adjust settings, so like you want to change that to convex real quick, bound box, blend 5, blend 10, blend 1. Just a quick way to adjust, and then you can just go in here and adjust it. So even if these aren't working always in the color, you can just go in and adjust it. For some reason the color one is having problems, and sometimes it works. It's just like mostly with the default settings I want to adjust it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Look forward to some updates in the future whenever the drawing with the grease pencil comes out. I'm going to work on implementing it to where it will work in this setup to where you can get a Ditto function from it too. And that should cover it. Alright. Have a good day. Thank you for watching.